Hello, my name is Caitlin Vallone, and I will be speaking on multiculturalism. In America, classrooms have been changing and expanding, especially within the past 100 years. With the rise of immigration and the growth of minority populations, classrooms have become increasingly diverse. This increase in diversity has shifted the way the traditional classroom may operate and what is taught, and has created a need for multiculturalism in the classroom. What is multicultural education? It is how we as educators consider the many different cultural perspectives present in our classroom and respond to the many social identities seen, including race, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, language, and social class. America is a prime target in which to see the effects of multicultural education in the classroom, especially when it is not implemented. When not in effect, minority groups tend to feel unwelcome and become more likely to do poorly in class or drop out altogether. However, with our huge shift in demographics in society, those within minority populations are becoming sought out for their job potential. Some professions have made the most of the high interest in minorities by actively recruiting, using incentives, and offering better working conditions. In helping these students realize their potential, they must be aware of the fact that we live in a multicultural world and that their input matters. Promoting citizens that have a multicultural mindset begins in the classroom. Especially as elementary school teachers, we shape the foundation of a student's learning for the rest of their educational career. This is a significant time in which to teach them to become open-minded citizens and be aware of their surroundings. It also helps students create a sense of self. The school culture and social structure are powerful determinants of how students learn to perceive themselves. These factors influence the social interactions that take place between students and teachers and among students, both inside and outside the classroom. There are countless works of children's literature that promotes multiculturalism among young students. One example is Tar Beach by Faith Ringgold. In this story, a young African-American girl is taken into the skies by the stars and is shown that anyone can do anything as long as they set their minds to it. This is especially important for children in minority groups because they often feel left out and unimportant when they see that most of their cohort is white or those who hold power tend to be of a certain mold. Another example of multicultural literary work is Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan. This story tells the tale of a young Mexican immigrant and her family trying to cope with their sudden move, tensions between the government and their people, and the struggle to make a living in a new world. This story is especially good for classrooms set in communities with a high percentage of Mexican American families, because it also exposes children to Spanish words and customs that will help the students make connections with others in their day-to-day lives. Beyond literature, we as educators can strive to integrate different multicultural strategies, both subtle and outright, into our overall learning experience. A subtle way to increase multicultural thinking is to create assessment questions that are less generic and can help draw attention to different ethnicities and cultures. For example, Billy went to the park to play with his friends tends to be associated with white males in a middle-class neighborhood. This speaks directly to a certain demographic and does nothing to enrich the learning process within the classroom. A question along the lines of, Anastasia was going to the park to celebrate Clean Monday with her family, brings attention to a custom that students may not be aware of, and allows for a lot of discussion on Greek customs and how other cultures may prepare for the Lenten season. To directly encourage integration within the classroom, a great technique to use is the jigsaw method. This allows students to feed off of each other and gain new perspectives that they may not have seen or thought of before. It also helps to ensure that no one feels left out, because often when told to split into groups, some children tend to end up alone or chosen last. With this method, the groups are pre-made by the teacher and allow for the right amount of diversity within the classroom. Social studies is a prime content area in which to really integrate multicultural education. However, within the past few years, it has been lacking in its ability to reach the many different cultures and ethnicities that it really should cover. In part, this is due to the perspective that many history books tend to be written, that of the powerful white man that overcomes the odds. Rarely do they go in depth into the other sides of wars or conflicts, and when they do, they are merely grazed upon and left behind. According to Chandler and McKnight, the social studies must become the subject position to critically analyze and address this historical condition, especially when teaching and exploring with students the national narrative of what it means to be a democratic citizen. In order to combat this lack of multiculturalism in the classroom, I plan to integrate time regularly to discuss the many different cultures of the world. I will especially focus on the cultures present within my classroom, because those will apply directly to my students and help foster connections and relationships among them. This will also allow time for students to present their customs to their peers and help the students see how other people may live across the world.